Hello and welcome back to another episode of More Than Milestones. I am so excited to be joined here today with Sharon Pope, who is the founder of Shelpful, an AI task manager that nudges you to do your stuff. We're going to be talking about all things making motherhood easier with automation today. But Sharon, tell us a little bit about you, about your passion, about how this all started.
Yes. Hi, I'm so happy to be here. I am a mom of two, and I have Shelpful, my business, which was really born out of my own desperation. I've worked in startups my whole career. I never thought about starting my own, but I had kind of reached this breaking point of after I had my second kid, was back at work, kicking butt at work. Kids were fed, pets were fed, and I was just completely last on the list. Like nothing was happening for me. And it was, was genuinely had a moment of like looking at myself, like catching my reflection and mean mugging myself, like such severe judgment. Like, why can't you just take a sip of water? You expletive. Like I just was in such a low place. And I just kind of was like, if only I had somebody who was looking out for me. If only I had someone who just was sitting on my shoulder. I have great friends. I have great family. I'm actually very lucky in that regard. And I still felt like I didn't have the support because it was
Yeah.
the little things. Like I'm not going to ask my best friend to remind me to drink water. I needed just that extra boost. And so I realized that I could make this. And so I made an initial version where I just kind of opened it up for people to sign up and they could text with a real human who would like nudge them on those little things. And I kind of was hoping for one customer, had to flip to a wait list. Like I was like, all right, so people need this. I'm not the only one. Slowly but surely we've evolved to have an iPhone app right now where people sign up and they start chatting immediately with an AI task manager that we've trained to have a great knowledge of behavioral science and research to help you make things doable, kind of push you to do the bare minimum instead of the whole thing, the whole enchilada at first. Like if I want to take a walk every day, it might ask, well, do you want to maybe start with just taking a walk to the end of the block every day? Like see if we can do that before we say we should do 5 miles a day. And so you kind of have a little bit of just someone pushing you along. It nudges you proactively. So you go into the chat, you say what you need to do, and it remembers and it nudges you. It keeps it on a list that you can go look at. So you kind of just feel like you have a bit of a second brain.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's amazing. I know that you had mentioned right before we started recording that you have ADHD. I have
I
ADHD
do.
as well, and I
Okay.
feel adult diagnosed, even though
Me
like
too.
my whole life makes sense now.
Yeah. Right.
But I feel like for even hearing this, whether you're neurodivergent or not, moms totally need this because we're the lowest on the totem pole almost
Yeah.
all the time. Like, especially
Hmm.
in those really heavy, hard, hectic early years where like, you're all in all the time for everybody but yourself, like that.
Right.
Oh my
Yeah. If
God.
you have ADHD and then you become a mom, it gets worse.
Yes,
It gets harder, especially if you
yeah.
don't know you have it, which I did not either. I mentioned that I had to flip to a wait list for that first product. I had like a comments section of
Yeah.
the submission form, and everyone who submitted, except for maybe one person, said, I need this because I have ADHD. I have been told by two
Wow.
different doctors where I went and said, I think I have ADHD. My brother has it. I can't focus. They're like, but you got promoted twice this year, or whatever reason they had for telling a woman
Yes.
often
Yep.
that it's just anxiety or I just need to kind of figure it out. And it was this Hollywood flashback moment where I was like, oh yeah, I definitely have this and I'm going to go
Yeah.
back in and advocate for myself and really discover how my brain works and like try to
Yeah.
kind of figure out my life in a new light.
Totally. Speaking to the like everything makes sense, I feel for neurodivergent or non neurodivergent moms, all of the methods that you've used your entire life to take care of you when you were the main priority shift. And that was what led me is I was like, nothing is working anymore. Like I am a successful woman. I have a doctorate degree. I had great grades. Like I had all of these systems for all of these
Mm-hmm.
things. And then every additional thing I took on was a little bit less effective. And that
Right.
system was a little bit less effective. And it was just like drowning. So I can totally see how this really fills a huge need for moms. But I feel like that leads right into where I would love for us to just break down the reality of overwhelm in motherhood. We're doing all the things all the time for everyone except ourselves, even though it should be for ourselves as well. So I would love to talk about first the power of tiny habits in creating momentum and reducing overwhelm. And I know that you'll be able to explain really well the Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg.
Yeah.
Can we start there?
Well, I think the possibly more well-known book is Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Yeah.
So Dr. BJ Fogg is a really prominent researcher in behavioral science. He's a Stanford professor, and his research is actually heavily cited in Atomic Habits. So it's a similar concept that you might be familiar with, but it's really freeing in terms of habit building if you kind of think about how behavioral change actually happens. Because I think as moms, we kind of badger ourselves, like, why didn't I just stick to this? Or why can't I just fill my water bottle in the morning just to keep the water analogy going? Why am I not washing my face? I should just wash my face. I should just do that. I think we spend a lot of time in the just and not a lot of time in actually breaking down how our brain can actually develop that habit, because it's not going to happen on its own. And it's certainly not going to happen on its own if you have a neurodivergence, because you have an extra block there, right? Your executive
Mhm.
function isn't helping you. And so, I mean, if you kind of think about it, like when you were a kid, it wasn't automatic to reach back for your seatbelt and buckle your seatbelt. But like when I get in the car now, literally my hand just goes back. Like that's what
Mhm.
happens. Get in the car, hand goes back. And those neural pathways are formed in our brain over time with practice. And so kind of taking some of those notes and bringing it to our reality. Like if you, like, I guess, for instance, Casey, like what's something that you've kind of been working, like what's something that you wish you were doing daily that you're
Yeah,
not?
I the biggest thing that sticks out for me is that I was always athletic in high
Mhm.
school,
Mhm.
and exercise as an adult was has always felt really hard for me to just build into my life, right? I am definitely like the stopper starter where I'm like, I'm going to do this program and I'm going to do it every single day and I'm going to keep going with it. And I'm also going to drink all my water and I'm also going to hit my protein goals and I'm also going to do all these things. And then I do none of them because none of it feels realistic. So I
Mm.
would say in the last probably 3 to 4 months, building on that habit stacking where I was
Mhm.
like, okay, just start with walking. You're going to do this walk and you're going to do it this many days a week and we're going to start there. And then
Mhm.
when that was manageable and felt like just a part of my routine, I added in another day. And then I was
Mhm.
able to add in like Pilates. And I was then able to be like, okay, now we're going to drink 340 ounces of water every single day. Like
Mhm.
getting myself consistent instead of being so all or none, I find
Mhm.
is what would like shoot me in the foot is like
Yeah.
it felt like if I wasn't doing all of it, I just might as well not do any of it, you know?
Yeah, that's really easy to get there. And I think that like habit stacking, I think those are great examples of, first of all, starting small, right? Like not like I want to change everything about my health, but let me just start with one thing.
Mhm.
But Dr. Fogg, his research found that our brain needs like an anchor, something. If we're going to add a new behavior, we need to actually identify like what like the last step is in the opportunity to do this. So, for instance, for like going on a walk, it's one thing to be like, I'm going to habit stack, I'm going to go on a walk and play a podcast. So that's habit stacking. But like actually getting out the door is another thing, right? Like getting like, and so kind of breaking down like what little like actually microscopic step could I identify in my morning routine that could trigger me to get out the door? And then what microscopic step could I pair with that? So for instance, like after I put my coffee cup in the sink, I'll put on one shoe.
Hmm.
Like that small. Because you're like, right now I'm walking around in my slippers and I'm puttering around the house and not doing the thing that I want to do. But so how could I kind of take one little step in the direction? And the research shows, and you see this in Atomic Habits too, like someone setting a goal to just go to the gym every day, not actually go in, not work out, but just show up there. And
Mhm.
so like, but your brain, if you are genuinely kind of celebrate that small thing, like I did the shoe, I got the shoe on, great, then you're more likely to do that more often. And because
Huh.
your brain wants to feel that reward, that wants to feel that pleasure center. If your brain doesn't like something, it's not going to do it again. We want to feel good. We're hardwired to try to feel good. And so if we can like make things smaller and take those baby steps to just get there. And I mean, so for some people that actually wouldn't make sense. Like one shoe, that doesn't mean anything to me. So that tells me maybe you're not going to feel good about it, which means your brain's not going to want to do, like those neural pathways aren't going to form. So for you, it might be, I'm going to take 5 steps outside. I'm going to walk to the end of the driveway. For me, I actually have so I obviously use my own product, the AI Task Manager. I take those and we've trained the AI to be good at brainstorming this scenario. So I have my dog sadly passed away this
Oh, I'm
year and I just
sorry.
haven't been walking anymore. And I love
Yeah.
like walking's like one of my main forms of exercise. I love going on walks. I live really close to this great park and I wasn't doing it. And so I was actually last night, not even in preparation for this, was brainstorming, and we decided that I would go on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I would walk to these neighborhood stairs. The stairs go up to the park. And so that's like a 5-minute walk. And I was like, I think I can do that. Like I could just go get some fresh air, walk to the end of the thing. And if I feel like it, I can keep going. But at least I'm just getting out, and I work from home. So like fresh air is not something I'm always seeking. And it rains where I live. So anyway, just as an example of like that, it's really, you have to kind of identify that small version and have it feel good enough.
Yeah. So is that where it starts really? So like if someone is listening to this and they're like, okay, but how do I apply that to my life? Is that truly where it starts? You break down every single thing that could hold you back from completing that task, or that you're already doing that you then can build in the components required to successfully complete that task, like getting one shoe on or like getting a second shoe on. Like if someone was
Yeah.
like, how do I apply that to my life? Like,
Right. It's a bit of a brainstorm, but yeah. So you think about what the goal is. Like you said, I want to be more healthy. And so you named a lot of things: water, walking, exercise, Pilates, like all these things, right? So you could actually write those all on a list. And then you go look at that list and think, okay, what do I most want to do? Like what sounds the most fun for me? So for me in your list, I actually really like Pilates. That's my other thing. So that sounds the most fun for me. And I like the reformer. So I'm like more naturally motivated to do that, right? So I kind of pick the thing that actually excites me most. But sometimes things that you want to do, habits that aren't that exciting, you kind of have to pick something that it draws you in. And then you think about what the smallest version would be of that. For the Pilates one, it could be, I need to open the app and book a class, right? Literally just opening the app could be my tiny habit. And so then I figure out the tiny habit, but I have to figure out a place to hang it in my life. It has to be an existing habit. It can't be like, I'm going to hang on this new thing I started doing yesterday. No, it has to be something like you literally do every day. With people with ADHD, it's actually sometimes hard to think of these things because we often are moving through life with a little bit more frenzy and not a lot of like
structure.
A to B to C structure.
Yeah.
So it can be harder, but like I have things that I do every day. I put my toothbrush back. I do brush my teeth every day. Some people struggle with that too. So you're not going to hang a habit on that. So you can kind of figure out where you can hang that. So after I put my toothbrush back in the toothbrush holder, I'm going to open the Pilates app. And you try, and then you can actually practice it. You can go not even at the right time. Like you, Casey, after this call, could go over to your sink, pick your toothbrush up, put it down, open the app. Pick your toothbrush up, put it down, open the app. Like just like you would train a muscle, you can train your brain. It's muscle memory in a lot of ways. And so does rehearsing it 10 times solve all your problems and guarantee you're going to do it? Maybe not, but you'll learn from it and maybe can apply it to the next thing you try. But I think for me, and so that's like, I was trained by Dr. BJ Fogg and his team on habit coaching. And so that's the coach line. But from my perspective, I think the bigger picture is it's just a way to just go easier on ourselves and then know that the research backs that up. Like, do the bare minimum. That's actually what works. Research shows it works.
I love that. I love that. Okay, that's amazing. And then the other big piece of it is the celebration piece, right? Like that piece that you're like, I did it, even if it's small, to continue building on that. And I feel like that's the piece that is probably the hardest for moms because, or maybe everyone, but I feel like it takes work for me to be like, you did that. Like that felt good. And you accomplished that. You built it into your busy day. You took that time out for yourself to keep that promise to yourself or whatever it might be. Like, I feel like that is the piece too that is really hard.
It's hard for me. That's like the hardest thing still for me. And it's funny, I think specifically for moms, because I have 2 kids and I celebrate their random little crap all the time. You know, like, oh my gosh, this room's so clean. Wow, you put away that toy. And it's like the smallest little thing, but I know instinctively praising them will make them more likely to do it again.
Totally.
And so we know it works because we use it all the time. We're the best at using it as moms. It's like we've got it down. But for ourselves, it's so hard. And so
it really is.
I find it like, I think you kind of just have to find a way that feels comfortable to you. So some people, like my co-founder of my company, she like is a little bit more like, she'll totally feel it and she'll like kind of add a dance to it. So like when you're planning this habit, basically you're planning, I'm going to pick the toothbrush up, put the toothbrush down and open the Pilates app. it's helpful to plan in how you'll congratulate yourself, how you'll celebrate that. And if, like, for instance, I'm in the bathroom putting the toothbrush back, I have this great opportunity. I have a mirror in front of me. I could just smile at myself in the mirror. That's enough. That
Mm,
sends the signals. And I mean, we've all probably read the old studies of like fake smiling actually does work too to help
yeah.
improve your moods. Like you could smile at yourself. You could even like high five, like literally high five the mirror. I find if I'm extra pessimistic and kind of just self-judgy and really struggling to do like a big smile or whatever, just even stating a fact, I did it. I did
Yeah.
the thing I wanted to do. I
I
just
love
did
that.
it. I think that just gives your brain like a little nod of like, I did the thing I planned to do. And that was a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so powerful because especially when there is so many things to do or things on your list,
Hmm.
like giving ourselves the opportunity to even be like, I did the dishes. Like I could have left that until
Yeah.
tomorrow morning and I did it. Like
Yeah.
even celebrating those like mundane routine, like they have to get done. That is something I feel like I never do. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, on to the next thing. Like check it off the list. What do I have to do now? Instead of being
Right.
like, dang girl, you worked all day and you took care of the kids and you did that. Like good for
Yeah.
you, you know?
Yeah. 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 You were swamped. Your head was swirling and you washed one dish. Great. You could have
Yeah.
washed none. And I think that it can be hard for us. I think a hack for moms though, too, is we have these kids around us. And I guess depending on your age of your kids, I have a almost 5-year-old and a 10-year-old. So like the 5-year-old's probably more likely to get in on this with me. But like turn to the kid and just tell them you did it. I didn't
Yeah.
feel like doing the dishes and I did it. And then you're modeling good behavior, which I think as moms, again, we're always putting everyone first. So
Mhm.
if you can feel good about modeling that behavior, but you secretly are helping yourself too. Just like
Yeah.
genuinely feel the glow of success for a small thing.
Totally. I also feel like not only is that modeling good behavior, but it's also like modeling being a human to them that like
Uh,
I have had I don't know, I don't remember who it was, but I had heard recently to like when you debrief with your kids on their day, like be
mhm,
honest about yours. And like I had an evaluation at the office and I was a little nervous about it because
mhm,
I didn't have much information about the patient that was coming in. And then there's always like I just always get nervous before an eval because I'm like,
mhm,
what if I have no idea what to do? Like imposter syndrome is like in my ear.
mhm,
And I was talking to my oldest daughter about it. She's 7. And when I got home that night, and I was like, I was so nervous before my evaluation today.
mhm,
Like, well, how did it go? And I was like, it was great. Like, it was totally fine. I was in my head, but I did it anyway. Like, even though I was scared. And she had her first swim meet and she like recited back to me what I had told her. Like, she was like, remember
Oh,
when you felt really nervous about your eval? And I'm like, yeah, like it happens to everybody. Everybody
I
gets
love
nervous.
that.
Like, even big adults are not immune to that. So I
Mhm,
feel like even saying something like that to your kids where you're like, I did the dishes and I really didn't want to do it. Like,
yeah.
I feel like that instills a lot of humanness into us too, that like,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't want to do this stuff, but it keeps the house running and it's
Right.
important and it's a responsibility that we have, like I feel like
Yeah.
that's really powerful.
I love your example. And you could actually use it for you can use it for the dread part too. Dishes are actually like the worst thing I think in the world. Like I genuinely like that it's a triggering example for me. But like even so sometimes even narrating what you're about to do. I really don't want to do I really don't feel like doing the dishes. I'm going to wash one dish. What do you guys think? Could I
Yeah.
do it? All right,
I
here I
love
go.
that. I
And like
love
just kind of
that.
get them invested in the process. Cause I also think just modeling for them that just showing up doing a small amount is better than nothing
Yeah,
is also good. So you have
totally.
that kind of full, yeah. I love when I'm in my most present mind and being the best mom, I feel like I am. I'm narrating. I'm kind of and I'm listening, but I'm instead of trying to fix their problem, I am trying to relate and share something of
Yeah,
mine too, if where I can.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh, I love that. Okay. I feel like that actually leads really nicely into the next part where I would love to talk about just overall making motherhood easier with automation. So, for people that don't understand what automation really means or how it applies to like the tasks on our plate,
Mhm.
can you kind of break that down for us?
Yeah. So I have been for a lot of my adult life just trying to think about how I can cut steps out of things. So it's been, I mean, anytime I do a monotonous thing or administrative thing, it's in the back of my head of like, could I make this happen automatically?
Yeah.
And also when I have now, once I think me being diagnosed with ADHD was very helpful and freeing too, because when I notice a deficit, like I'm not seeing this thing, like my kids' preschool sends emails, even though they have an app, which I would prefer. And I've missed little things. He often doesn't want to do the dress up days, but I want to give him the opportunity. I missed like a dress up day and I felt like crap. And I was like, I'm bad at email. I'm not going to guarantee to see the emails, but they don't send a lot. So why don't I set up an automation for when I get an email that I get a text message. Like I get a little text alert that says, like it has the subject line of the email and has like some of the body of it in. So then I can't always read the whole thing because it's just the small text message, but I can go pop over and read it. That's been game changer. Like I haven't missed an important email since, which
Oh my God.
obviously is, I just do better on text. And so like that's a simple thing of like me just kind of being like, oh, that sucked. I want to do better next time. But I also have an automation. Well, I guess just keeping rolling with the preschool. There's with the preschool app that they don't use to message with, even though they could, that's how I check him in for preschool. And I've forgotten to check him in. And because you have to open the app, you have to scan the QR code. So I have an automation set up that when I arrive at his preschool location, the app just opens automatically on my phone. So then it's just
Wow.
open. So then I'm more likely to do it. So just like little things. I kind of just like to try to grease the wheels is how I usually put it. It doesn't,
Yeah.
I don't have the robot butler yet, even though that exists now,
Yeah.
kind of. But it just helps me remove a little bit of friction and feel a little bit lighter, a little bit more supported. And that's kind of my goal.
Yeah. For me, that sounds absolutely incredible, but I would have zero clue how to do that.
Yeah.
If you are not a techie person, obviously your app is a great option. Are you doing that through your app, or is it also just like you can just do that if you understand technology? Because I'm like, oh my God.
The latter. Yeah, the latter. iPhone makes it easier. Do you have iPhone or
I
Android
do.
PC?
iPhone.
So iPhone makes it easier randomly because they actually have a native app. So like Apple created a free app that is an automations app. And it's not downloaded automatically on your phone, but you download it for free. And it's just free, always free, no charge ever. And so it integrates with most other Apple apps. So Apple Maps, email, like Apple's email or mail app, text message, like all the Apple apps on your phone have an integration with this, but also developers like me, like my company, Shelpful, can develop integrations with it too. So that's where automations come in with Shelpful is, like, for instance, when I pull in my son's preschool parking lot, it opens that app. And then it also sends a message to my AI task managers that says, I'm dropping my kid off in 20 minutes. Will you message me back and tell me that like the top priority that I should work on, or like give me an idea of like a 5-minute task that I can do to like start the day. So I kind of just like throw that ask out, and it's called the Shortcuts app, Shortcuts. So you can search for it in the App Store. If you have an Android, there's not one from Google, but there's a pretty good app called Macro Droid, Macro Droid. And that does a pretty good job too. It's kind of limitless, but it can be intimidating.
Yeah.
I think if you've never done one before, I post a lot of these ideas. I post a lot of ideas on my social media because I just think it's such an undermarketed feature of the iPhone. And I feel like your iPhone becomes so much more valuable once you have some of these set up because it's like kind of running your life a little bit, like it's helping. But all the things I already described are possible with the Shortcuts app. I have a workshop that I offer because people kept asking me, and I was like doing one-on-one calls. So I ended up doing a 90-minute live session, and then it's a recorded. So I have that I offer too. But it's so fun. I love it.
That's literally amazing. It's so funny. I'm like giggling over here because I swear to God, my toxic trait is as soon as I get a new phone, I delete like everything. Like I delete the iMovie, I delete Shortcuts. Shortcuts is like the first to go for me. I never even knew what it did, but it's like I give it the boot along with all the other ones. And now I'm like, oh my God.
GarageBand, like all the
I'm like,
random
I don't
things
need
are on
these.
there.
They're just taking up space. And now I'm like, Casey, I do a lot of time blocking in my workday where
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I know that this task has to get done today. I have 2 hours to work. I'm going to give myself 15 minutes to work on this one. If I don't finish it in that 15 minutes, I'm going to give myself another 10 minutes and then I have to move on to something else. So I'm assuming you've like trained your version of your app to say, okay, I have 20 minutes and it knows how long it'll take you to complete your tasks for the day. Is that accurate to say?
I mean, not really. I mean, I think you could do that. You could be like, hey, remember these things and about my day. Like my day is like this. I don't have a very predictable day, so I personally haven't done that, but one could.
Okay.
We have an area called custom instructions, and you could either go type in there or you could tell the AI to add something to custom instructions or basically put this in your permanent brain. On Tuesdays I do this, on Wednesdays I do this, or I want to do 2 hours of this on, and that would be a really smart way to manage it. I don't have as much predictability, but so I kind of let the AI has my list of tasks. So every time I vent, like I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. I it goes on the list. And then one that I say I did, I basically let the AI kind of suggest something to me from my list. Like, what do you think would be an easy task I could just start the day with? With people with ADHD, I keep like toggling between AI, ADHD, but there's like all this like eat the frog advice, like start with the biggest thing. That's what eat the
Yeah.
frog means. Like do the biggest thing first, eat the frog, kind of a gross term. But with ADHD, I find, and a lot of others find, that eat the ice cream is a better approach, which
Yeah.
is start with the easiest thing just to
Mhm.
get you rolling, just to get you sitting at your computer and getting a win, right? And
Totally.
so that's why I asked that question. And then AI is like pretty good at discerning stuff. So it's going to look at the list and it's going to be like, oh, you need to like submit this thing or post this video that has already been made. Why don't you do that first? So it kind of does a pretty good job guessing. And then something I like about AI, and it's a way that it lightens the load for me in motherhood, whether it's my app or even just ChatGPT, is sometimes reacting to an opinion, like, what should I work on? And it's like, you should pay that bill. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to do this instead. I think even that's helpful. Like, even if
Yeah.
it tells me I should work on something that is wrong, it gives me a little bit more of a sturdy opinion on what I want or should be working
Yeah.
on. So
I
that's
also
where I
feel
find it
like that
helpful.
is really powerful for, like, the tasks that I tend to avoid until I
Mhm.
literally can't avoid it anymore, and they're always the tasks that take 5 minutes. When I tell you for the last week, I've had on my list to call the dentist, I finally did it in, like, the 5 minutes I had today, and I was like, "Oh, that took 30 seconds,"
I
but
know.
I've been beating myself up all week, like, "You didn't do it again today," thinking it's gonna take so long or I'm gonna whatever,
Mhm.
I don't
Well,
even know that I'm
it's ADHD. It's a lack of
Yeah.
executive function. The small things are hard.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sounds so powerful to even just have it be like, "Hey, you've been putting this off now for a week,
Mhm.
like, do it. You have 10 minutes." Like, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
It brings things up, and I will even do things like, so another automation. You can, because if you have Apple and you have a either the Bluetooth in your car or CarPlay, like Apple CarPlay, you can have that be a trigger. So when I connect to CarPlay, I can have it start playing a song or a playlist that I want to play. I can have it pull up whichever map apps I prefer. I prefer Waze, but it like the other ones are more default, so it pulls up Waze for me. And then I have it send a message to my AI task manager saying, send me an idea. I'm in the car. Send me an idea of something I could do at a stoplight or when I'm like car rotting, right? Because like before I get out of the car for the next time, and that would be a perfect thing. Call the dentist. You can call the dentist while you're driving or at a stoplight, right? It's a call.
Oh
And
my
so like that
god.
to me is helpful too, where I just am like trying to, it's not this toxic productivity squeeze in every minute type of mentality
Yeah.
for me. I just know calls are hard for me.
Mhm,
So they're easier for me if I'm like kind of contained in a car and I can't look at my phone. I'm like
mhm.
much more likely to make a call.
Oh my god.
So I completely relate. Casey, you are not alone. I have waited months to call a dentist or a doctor.
Yeah.
There's so much self judgment that comes with that. And, there's not a great solution for it other than,
This, though, like,
this helps. Yeah.
yeah, it's not that I'm aversive to technology, it's that it's hard for me, so it's something I don't usually, like, embrace. Like, I have 700 planners, physical planners, I have 700 calendars, but when it comes to, like, using my task manager on my phone or my calendar on my phone, I'm like, "Mm-mm, no thanks, don't know how to do it." So, like, this feels so much more manageable because it's not more on your plate. I'm sure the setup is, like, a little bit time consuming,
Yeah.
but that sounds like what technology is supposed to be for.
Well, we try to make the setup that, and that's we like the thing I worked hardest on actually when we were developing this was the initial user experience where when you sign up, you log in with Apple, so you're just in, and then you just start chatting. So it's gonna ask you your name and it's gonna ask you what you want to call it, like you can name it. So like I call mine Task Daddy. which is just, I don't know why. But I change it sometimes, like if I'm in a more goal-oriented mood. And then it's gonna ask you a couple questions like, hey, what's one thing that's falling off your plate right now that you wish you were sticking with? What's a couple things you need to do this week? And then you're done. You're in. So you kind of just build it as you go. And it is different. If you're good at using a planner, this isn't going to replace long-term planning, goal setting. It's not going to replace it in that way. It's kind of, I like to think about it. And we're working on integrations where we integrate with calendars and do more stuff like that. But it's kind of like the last mile, kind of is like I need to get this done. So I'm
Yeah.
going to give it to you. You're going to keep reminding me about it. It's going to stay on this list until it gets done. It's not going away. I
Yeah.
can't lose it. I can't leave it at the gas station. Why is the planner at the gas station? I don't know. Leave it at
No,
the library,
listen,
wherever.
the amount of people that have probably stumbled upon a lost, like, to-do list of
Oh my
mine, and,
gosh.
like, I'm like, "Where is that?"
I
Like,
know.
that's not
And
far-fetched.
it's painful. When I was in college, I loved my planner and I was so good at using it. And I questioned that in my adulthood. Like, why am I not good at that anymore? But I think in college, I just lived out of my backpack and I didn't have much. I think, yeah, like we can all dissect these things. But
Yeah.
I think systems don't always translate, which you actually said right when we started.
Yeah.
Systems don't always translate to different phases of life. And sometimes you have to switch things up and evolve. And yeah,
No.
this to me is a good option. But I think that there's a lot out there. Like the automation stuff I mentioned, that's all in the Shortcuts app, and which is not my app. I can't.
Yeah.
I wish it were because I would feel so proud of it. But yes, we built a really good integration with it. We have even people who on my social media love it. I post mostly on Instagram, but TikTok too. And you can get these little NFC tags. They're like they're kind of the size of a quarter and they have a sticker on the back. And it's the same technology that's in a hotel key card to open a door or like a credit card to tap to pay. It literally just kind of stores information and instructions. And with the Shortcuts app, which we've mentioned, you can, instead of a trigger being like getting into CarPlay or arriving at a location, you can have the trigger be tapping a tag, which I like because I have these tags around my house. I have one on my washing machine. And when I tap it, it sets a timer so that I don't forget to move the washer to the dryer. But it sets a timer. It asks my AI task manager to check it with me in 2 hours. It also like starts a podcast. I mean, you could also have it start a walk like on your Apple workouts so that that's what pushes you out for your walk, Casey. Like if you
Oh
want to get out for your walk,
my
you're like, okay,
god.
yeah, I'll do a walk when I do a wash. Like those are the habits I'll stack, but it kind of can grease the wheels to stack those habits. So I know I'm kind of throwing out all the ideas, but it's just such a fun thing to brainstorm. There's so many little things you can do.
No, that's incredible. Where do you get those?
These, you can get them on Amazon for super cheap. They're like 15 cents per. I have them in little bags because I was giving them away at this ADHD conference I was at.
I love it.
But they sell like, you can get like a pack of 25 for like $12 or something
Oh
like
my
that. Yeah.
god. Wow.
Yeah.
So for people trying to begin the process of automation that are listening to this and feeling as mind blown as I am, where I'm like, girl, where have you been? It does not have to be this hard. Like I am going to get off of this and forget to pick my kids up because I'm going to be all
Let's
in
not
on
do
like
that. Let's
downloading your
not
app.
do that. No, let's get those kids.
But for beginning the process of automation, where do people start? Do you say like automate every single thing, or is it like
No.
how do you start deciding what tasks to automate so so the process of automating things doesn't feel like one more overwhelming thing?
Yeah. I would never say to start doing everything at once because I think that's all of our
Yeah.
instinct and that's just, a recipe for disaster. Let's not overwhelm ourselves more, people.
Yeah.
I would start with one thing. Like I was out getting a glass of wine with a friend and she had, we were talking about this. This is what I do in my social life. And she's neurotypical. She's very organized. I was like, well, talk me through like what was something overwhelming that happened like this week, or when we kind of were just chatting and I came up that her kids are always like, when they get in the car, they're always like, put on K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack. And so she feels like she's scrambling to get them to school and they're like shouting for their requests for music. And I was like, well, easy. So we can just set this up for when you connect. So you could either do when you connect to Bluetooth, but she was like, I actually leave a very predictable time. Like I pretty much am always in the car, like right at 7:30 because she's neurotypical. I cannot relate to that. So we just set it by time of day. So at this time, this thing happens. So she has Apple Music subscription. So that's even easier because again, Apple likes Apple. But I use Spotify and you can do basically the action is time of day. And then the shortcut is opening a URL and I just paste the URL to the Spotify playlist in there and that'll start. And that's it. That's your first one.
Yeah.
Or even you could do something for when, I mean, time of day, I feel like is a good, easy one to just start. You could also do like one of the actions they have available is when I turn my alarm off. So if you're like have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, you can use the trigger of when I turn my alarm off. And then you could have it speak something out loud to you. So you could put in a dictate text action shortcut, which again, they just have so many little
Oh my
things
God.
available. And
Yeah.
it could say like, Sharon, seriously, get out of bed. You know, you need to get up. You're going to regret laying here. You're not asleep. You could just like egg yourself on to get out of bed. Like there's just
Yeah.
like little, I think just start with something little. Like think of what's something I'm frustrated. And I always like to just be like, when was I frustrated with myself? Because that's what I'm trying to solve. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. Like
Yeah.
I just want to be less angry at myself because
Yeah.
like who has time for that? So I think
Totally.
if I can just get some of those things happening by themselves a little bit more, and then honestly, when your automation goes off, you kind of feel a little bit smart too. You're like, look what I
I
did.
love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap this up, can you just anything you want to explain about your app or dump that you feel like is helpful for people to understand about it, and then tell us again where people can find you, where you're posting, where you're sharing all of these little hacks and tips.
Yeah. So I'll start with the hacks and tips. I am on Instagram as Shelpful, Shelpful. It stands for super helpful. And I post a lot of free automation ideas. I have like a highlight in there that it says automation. So if that was particularly interesting to you, check that out. I share ones that aren't even to do with my app because I just can't help myself. So check that out. And then the AI task manager, which is called Shelpful as well, is in the App Store. So you can just search for Shelpful there and download it. There's a 2-week free trial baked right in. And I hopefully could find some use out of it in the 2 weeks and let me
Yeah.
know any feedback because we're a small company. There's just 4 of us working on the app. So any feedback really actually goes a long way. And I run the social. So the DMs, I see the DMs, like we're small.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, and we'll put links to all of this stuff in the show notes too, so that people can just click, they can come find you and find the app and everything like that. But this was so helpful, and I am really excited to
Yeah.
start to implement some of this stuff. So thank you so much for being here and for sharing this and for creating something so powerful for moms when it's just hard for us to do it all and do it all while still caring about ourselves,
I know. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I really liked being here, Casey.
Yeah. Okay.
All
We
right.
will see you next time on another episode of More Than Milestones.